Skaggs. With me as
I'm Jan
always.
Strauss.
Exactly. Zan's here. And, so are a couple of new additions to my Funko library.
Oh, is that Laura Palmer with the crazy eyes?
Meanwhile,
Meanwhile,
meanwhile, and of course,
nice.
with her is Doppelganger Cooper.
Oh. Oh, and he even has a little cup of coffee with the oil in it.
Yes. Although, remember,
Little
that
boosted
was
coffee.
regular Cooper's cup of coffee.
That's true.
But
They're mixing.
yeah, they were kind of
Maybe it just
mixing.
looks like maybe it just looks like oil because it's plastic. It's not really going anywhere.
Exactly. So, yeah, these were some San Diego Comic Con exclusives that I had to pick up. I didn't
Nice.
go to San Diego Comic Con, but I did order them directly. So I just thought you'd get a kick out of seeing these.
Those are gorgeous.
Yeah, I got those from boxlunch.com if you're interested.
Nice.
So you can score those. And I also got a Clara from Doctor Who from Hot Topic that I had sent so that way I don't have to go into a Hot Topic. So hooray. So advantage me, yay! So,
Yay.
all right. So that's the toy news that I have for this week. But you're here to listen to the Return Part 11 as we start heading toward the final home stretch of the Return. Um, this was a good one. There's a lot
This,
going on in this one.
this one was very good, yes.
And apparently we both enjoyed this one, so I think we're going to give this one pretty good reviews.
I think so.
But so I'm looking forward to talking about this with you, Zan. And so let's just dive right in. So the first thing I want to talk about, of course, is the opening where we have these boys that are playing catch in front of a trailer park. And presumably it's the new Fat Trout trailer park, and the ball gets away from them. Almost feels like a Stephen King kind of story here. And one of the kids just kind of like runs off to get it, and oh, hey, there's a body.
He hears somebody just sort of moaning,
Right.
and it's Miriam.
It's Miriam. She's alive.
Miriam made it out. So I don't know if her trailer blew up or is still going to blow up, or if she had the door open, so now the gas is just going to go through the neighborhood. But she's severely beaten up and very weak, but she made it out alive.
Yeah, she's a little cooked, but she's okay.
Yes.
Yeah, she's a little extra crispy. By the looks
She's,
of her. But
was she extra crispy or is she just dirty?
it looked like kind of black sooty to me. I could be wrong, but because I know she was obviously crawling through the woods,
right?
But just the fact that like when you're crawling through the woods, you're really not going to be crawling like with your face, and her face looked kind of covered in that kind of black, kind of ashy look to it.
I thought it just sort of looked like maybe it had just blood and dirt on it, but I don't know. Like I said, I feel like we would have heard that explosion, but maybe it didn't happen, and someone's going to talk about it later. I don't know.
That's true.
Because Miriam's trailer was kind of by itself, so...
That's true. Yeah, we don't know how far away the trailer was, but yeah, presumably you're right. If there was a big boom, presumably somebody would have heard about it. So maybe...
Well, I remember she was just face down and all that blood, so it could just be she was bloody.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, you're right. Maybe it was just like dark caked on blood. Maybe. So.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was just being dirty from being outside, because I don't know how she... Remember, she was laying face down in the dirt, too.
Right.
And then just sort of took all of her strength to look up and look at those boys.
Yeah, but
so, I don't know.
Thankfully, though, she's okay because, hey, if she's okay, doesn't look good for Richard Horn, does it?
That is very true, because she's obviously going to call the cops and actually talk to them this time and not just write them a letter like it's 1940 or something.
Well, presumably she's going to get some first aid first. So, but
I would hope so. That
but
those boys are going to call.
yeah.
They'll call their mom, and their mom is going to call 911. So
But as we know from
hopefully
the
she's going to be fine.
exactly. So, but as we know from the original series, when you end up in the hospital, that usually leads to the cops showing up on Twin Peaks.
Hmm.
So,
And if nothing else, this food will kill you.
exactly. Let's just hope it's not Chad that answers the call.
Oh my God! If it's Chad, I'm going to lose my mind.
That would, but
I'm
presumably,
so happy to have a Chadless episode.
yeah, presumably if the call comes in, Lucy's going to get it first. But let's just hope that Chad's not
Yeah.
lurking nearby, and yeah,
Yeah.
that could be bad. So we'll see, we'll see. But hey, good news for Miriam. So hopefully she'll be back to her perky little self not too long.
And Norma, I'm serious. Bring the whole pie.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, I'm out of hospital quotes now. I don't have any more hospital quotes.
exactly. But yeah, as we know, cherry pie seems to help with the healing process on this show. So
God,
maybe
I hope
maybe
so.
some cherry pie. All right, so
The cherry pie is a miracle.
exactly. Next thing I want to talk about is, of course, Becky. Oh, Becky.
Becky looked for a minute like she came to her senses. You know, she gets a phone call that makes her incensed, and so she's
I think incensed
freaking out.
is kind of putting it mildly. That's kind of an understatement. She flips.
Yeah.
She
Well,
flips the hell out. Is basically what happens.
she flips out, and she seems to be in her right mind for right now. There's no drugs clouding her at the moment. She just seems like she's back to normal and just really, really angry about something.
Right. Well, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of reasons why she's angry. Maybe some that she's not aware of.
Yeah.
Because I got to think there are some issues probably bubbling to the surface here.
Probably. And she's probably thinking, you know, she's home by herself. She has no car. She's probably just stewing about Steven and all the bad crap he's done and how she's, you know, put up with this. And then she gets this phone call that basically tells her, we don't know this from the call. We know it from later on in what we see, that he's somewhere with another woman.
So what I want to know, of course, who called Becky?
That was my question too. We didn't hear it. She didn't say a name, nothing.
Right. So yeah, so a mystery person ratting out on old Steven. And
good.
Yeah, good. Exactly. I agree. And so she calls Shelley to ask if she can use her car. And Shelley, being apparently the pushover she is, because hey, it's your daughter. Why not?
Yeah, she just, you know, she cares for her daughter, even if the way she cares isn't exactly the best way to care.
Especially with history repeating itself all over again.
Well, and it's hard to care for an addict. You know, you want to help them, but they usually do the wrong thing with the help you give them.
Right.
So, but yeah, Shelley comes over and she just, you know, and here's my next question. Is Norma ever done with the paperwork?
That's a good question because she just sits there.
Yeah.
Now I know I figure she's the owner, that she's responsible for a lot of bookkeeping, but it seems like that's all she does now is the bookkeeping.
I know, she's always with the paperwork.
In that exact same booth.
In that exact same booth and always with the paperwork. So she tells Norma she's leaving.
Yep.
She races over.
And Norma gives her the disapproving look. You know, just
Norma looks like she has this combination of disapproving but like constantly worried about Shelley. Like Norma Shelley is always going to be like Shelley's big sister. Mm-hmm. And Norma's been through it too, and I think Norma's been a little better about getting herself out of it because, you know, like we said before, regardless of what's going on with Norma now, Hank's dead. So, you know, Norma's problems are kind of over when it comes to...
I'm sure Norma's totally fed up with the drama.
Right. Norma's totally fed up with it, and she just wants Shelley to she wants Shelley to be as fed up with it as Norma is fed up with it. But Shelley is still, and we find out later that Shelley still has her own problems,
Yeah, we're gonna get
and
into that.
you know, she doesn't want she doesn't want Shelley to she doesn't want Becky to go down the same road, but I don't want to say Shelley's on the same road, but she's going the same direction a little bit
Yeah,
as Becky is.
yeah, yeah, I agree. I think Norma's not happy with Shelley's current life choices, and I think she would prefer a different choice. And
I think so, and I think she's worried, but understands the concept that people have to find their own path. You can't force them to be different.
right,
They have to find it's life is like the Matrix. You cannot be told, you must be shown. So, and I think Norma is aware of that as much as she doesn't like watching it. So,
well, if nothing else,
yeah,
her relationship with Ed has probably taught her a lot of patience.
I would think so too. And Ed, we still haven't seen, which I'm really hoping we see him soon.
Yeah,
But anyway,
really. Yeah, where is he? He's him
where
and
is he?
he must be with Audrey because we have no idea where those two
Yeah,
are.
they're hanging out apparently. So
Yeah,
she goes over to Becky's,
yeah,
and Becky is a little Tasmanian devil coming
right.
running out of the trailer, and she has a gun.
Yeah,
So she's going to run off with a gun, and so she runs off into
yeah.
Shelley's car with a gun, and
You know what?
Shelley knows that this is a bad idea.
Yeah,
And Shelley Starsky and no, she doesn't Starsky and Hutch it. She T.J. Hookers it onto the front of the car.
that
And
was
he's
the
hanging
most.
up the windshield for dear life.
I totally did not expect that. I mean that was just one of the things that, like, okay, I'm sure Machen Aming's more than capable of it. That was the last thing I expected from Shelley, that she
I know.
just to see her dive on the hood of that car,
She just dives in the hood
and then
and
she's right,
standing there,
and then Becky guns it, takes
swerves
off,
and knocks her off. Yeah.
zero regard for her mom's safety. Although
Hmm.
there was maybe a tiny hint, because she does peel out over by a grassy area and she's like turns the car hard so that the momentum will throw Norma off onto the grass.
Right. Throws Shelley off in a comfortable spot. She doesn't want to hurt her mom. She just wants to do what she wants to do.
Right.
She's like, Mom, get out of my way,
Yep.
and she's like, Becky, stop, let's talk about this. And
You are
nope,
so grounded, young lady.
she just kind of goes flying, and but she's okay, and but Carl hears
That was
the
great.
ruckus.
I love this. So
Yeah.
yeah, Carl comes by, checks on Shelley, make sure she's okay, and offers her a ride back to the Double R. So
And Carl offering a ride means Paul gives a ride.
exactly. So he
in
breaks
the
out
VW.
this really long silver whistle, and
Yeah,
whistles for the Carlmobile.
yeah. He just whistles, and then Paul shows up in his VW bus.
So was Paul just
And
hanging out in the van all day waiting for Carl to like use that whistle?
yeah, that's a good question. I'm assuming he is Linda's caretaker, because Linda does have some
Right.
health issues and she's at home a lot of the time. But still, it doesn't seem like
Yeah.
need to be at Carl's beck and call like that. But
Sorry, honey, I gotta go. I'm sorry you're kind of hung up in the bathtub right now, but hey,
yeah,
Carl's calling. I gotta go.
I just heard Carl's whistle. I gotta go. Can you put dinner back in the oven for a couple hours? That'd be great. Thanks.
It's the Carl signal
So,
to the Carlmobile.
so they're on their way, and she's telling Carl what happened, and that Becky ran off with her car with a gun.
Right.
And Carl's like, oh God. And he's telling her that there have been bad things going on in that trailer, and she's calling Norma, saying she's on her way back, and they're thinking about calling the police. So Carl just gets on the CB radio,
He's got a CB
calls-
radio in the back.
which is awesome.
Got the direct line
So-
going to the Twin Peaks Sheriff's Department.
exactly. So he just calls the Twin Peaks dispatch
Yeah, talks
and
to
he
Maggie.
talks to Maggie and he says something very interesting actually.
I was glad because we finally find out her name.
Yeah, this is I've got Shelley Briggs with me.
That's right. She did. He did say Shelley
So
Briggs, didn't she?
Shelley and Bobby did at some point get married.
Yes. Now
And
maybe
they're
they're not.
divorced now.
Right.
Yeah, they're divorced or at least they're at least separated now.
Right.
But yeah, she is Shelley Briggs. She did marry Bobby. So we find that out.
Yeah. Which would explain
And
why
so,
Machen Amick wasn't credited as only Shelley until
right,
now.
right. She was just credited as Shelley up until now. This is the first time we've seen that last name. So that was an interesting little reveal, and it I'll talk more about that in a little bit. When Bobby gets into the
Yeah.
picture of this episode. So then we see
So Becky
Becky.
yeah, she shows up at the apartment. And whose apartment
Right.
is it?
Now this was bizarre, and I didn't realize it
Mm-hmm.
until the very end because I didn't necessarily pay too much attention to who the girl was. It was you saw because she's banging on the door at the
Right.
apartment, and the neighbor says that you just missed them. They're not here now. Stop banging on the door because and then she gets mad and she fires a gun into the door. She just fires the gun like 6 times in the door,
Right.
and which then of course causes everybody else to call the cops. You hear Maggie saying, "What's your location? Yeah, there's someone on the way. What's your location?
Yeah.
There's someone on the way." And apparently everyone's calling in these gunshots. But Steven and his girlfriend are in the stairwell. Like she literally just missed them.
Yeah.
And
So what probably was that she probably Stephen probably looked out the window, saw Becky arrive, and then they hightailed it
right,
out of there just as she was getting out of her car and going into the building. I'm guessing.
right, and it looks like they're like in the fire stairwell or something because
Yeah. Yeah.
came up. Becky came up a little more finished looking stairway, but he's with Gersten Hayward.
Kirsten Hayward, played by none other than Alicia Witt from the original series. So
Right,
so she's gone from playing the piano, all innocent and childlike, in the Hayward home, to doing it with Stephen Burnett.
gross. Gersten, what is the
Ah,
matter with you? But yeah, I saw that in the credits. I was looking to see what everybody's name was, and I was looking to see who that was, and then I saw Alicia Witt and Kirsten Hayward. I was like, where was she?
yep,
And I started thinking that there were two redheads in the show that I didn't necessarily know who they were,
right.
and she was one of them. And I thank you, TiVo. Watched the episode again, and oh my god, I couldn't. I was like, oh my gosh, that's another layer to this mystery that is
Doesn't it? Because we haven't heard
extremely bizarre.
because we haven't heard any mentions of Donna at all in this new series,
No mentions of Donna, no mentions of Harriet, no mentions
right?
of their mom, nothing.
So, but
So
yeah, I gotta imagine that Doc Hayward's not too happy about this.
oh, he's
If
probably not.
if he knows,
That's true because isn't he somewhere else? Didn't he retire somewhere else?
yeah. So he's off fishing, maybe. Yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe he's got like some kind of retirement community or something, maybe.
Or he's I don't know.
Or if
I'm
he's
not
off,
sure.
maybe they have just a lot or like a cabin somewhere, their own cabin, and maybe he just happened to be out when Harry called or something. I don't know.
Yeah, or maybe he's maybe he snowbirds in the Everglades, who knows.
Yeah, who knows?
So but yes, Kirsten Hayward.
Yeah, did not. I mean,
That was
I knew that Alicia Witt was returning, but I did not expect her to be that person with Stephen Burnett at all.
seriously. Yeah, that was a little bit disappointing,
It was.
Kirsten.
It was. It was.
So but then again she did grow up seeing her older sister go around with guys like Mike, Mr. Bonehead Boyfriend. So
Exactly. Yeah.
or she
Yeah.
could be an addict too, who knows?
Yeah. I kind of wish we would get Harriet now.
Yeah, we want to see what Harriet's up to.
Yeah. Or just like
And maybe all that
or like
all the piano.
Harriet. Being all sarcastic and writing some poetry about it.
Something, yeah, exactly. But yeah, she,
The
maybe
full
all that pressure.
blossom of the evening.
Now that some time has passed,
Yes.
I think I prefer. But yeah, maybe all that piano prodigy pressure got to her that she
Maybe.
just couldn't handle it anymore.
Maybe.
I don't know, but yeah, watch more on that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that was intriguing. So, and that's a very interesting love triangle that they've set up here. Um,
seriously,
yeah. So then we shift over to Buckhorn, South Dakota. Or do
I'm
you
care for
or
your
do you, or do
language,
you, or do you
child.
want to finish talking about Becky first before we jump over there? We can do either. I'm good either way.
We can finish talking about Becky because it's just a little bit where what happens is they catch up with her, and of course Bobby finds out being a cop. He gets a call.
Yep.
And so that we have Shelley, Becky, and Bobby sitting together in the Double R having a little family meeting.
Mm-hmm. Which is, of course, why I'm
And
wearing my Double R shirt today.
very nice. And what I think is so adorable about this scene is Bobby was off duty,
Right.
so he's just dressed up in his street clothes. He's got his same leather jacket.
Is it the same? I think it's a different leather jacket.
It sure looks like the one he had when he was a kid, but I don't know. But he's still wearing a black leather jacket.
Well, because remember the one he had as a kid had the letter, the high school letter on it.
Oh yeah, that's true.
With the T,
But
it was
it's a
kind
similar.
of, yeah. It's just a similar black leather jacket, so that's his
It's
look.
a similar style.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bobby still is Bobby.
Yeah.
He's still a little bit Bobby, even though he's a cop. But they're talking about how Shelley says, "We know you're a grown woman. You can make your own decisions. We just don't want to lose you." And Becky's like, "Oh my God, Mom, are you okay? I threw you off the car. I'm so sorry." And
Yeah, that finally clicks in her head, like, oh my, like, oh, this is really awkward. I just almost killed you.
right. So I didn't mean to do that. I'm so sorry. So you can tell that deep down, Becky and Shelley have a good relationship.
Right.
And we find out that for sure, we found out for sure that Bobby and Shelley are separated because
right.
She hugs her and she says, "You're staying at my place tonight."
Yeah.
So, they're obviously not living together at the time. And Bobby tells her, "Look, honey, I'm not being easy on this guy anymore. Every time I hear something about him, I haven't brought him in because of you, but this is not, I'm not going easy on him. The second I see him, the second he does something, I'm bringing him in." And poor Becky is still very, I want to leave. I want to divorce, but I love him. He's really a good person.
Yeah, she's coming off very much the abuse, like a total abuse victim at this point.
She's in full-on abuse victim. She's even lying about the fact that he abuses her.
Yeah,
because Bobby looks at her.
The denial.
Yep. He's ready to kill him when he realizes, he's like, "Has he ever hit you?"
Yep.
And, "Oh no, he would never do anything like that." So she's lying about that because I think she knows that, if Bobby finds out that he's hit her, he's going to kill him.
Well, as we know, Bobby's killed it before.
Bobby killed a guy.
Bobby killed a guy.
She said, "Bobby killed a guy." So then they're sitting there talking, and this is sort of a little weird aside from Shelley. Red walks up.
Yeah, that was such a weird moment for watching Shelley. Because I've watched this twice now, and she's in full hug, "I love you" with Becky. You're my daughter. I just want to protect you. Also, in an instant, she catches a glimpse of Red through the window. Immediately snaps to attention, puts on the big broad smile, like, "Hi, honey," and Becky's kind of looking like, what just happened here?
She runs out of the diner to see him too.
She does. She bolts, and Bobby just really?
Bobby actually looks kind of heartbroken about this. I get the feeling that separating wasn't exactly what Bobby wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So, because she runs out of the diner and just goes and makes out with Red for a few minutes and then runs back in like, "Okay, I'm back, sorry." Like, she turned into a teenager again.
Yeah, seriously. And
Yeah.
Norma, of course, is over in the corner, like giving the disapproving glare because I think
Norma's again.
Norma wants the
Yeah.
family reunited. I'm guessing.
And Norma probably knows that Red's no damn good.
Exactly.
Shelley obviously still. It's almost like you get the feeling that maybe Bobby got his life together and now Shelley was bored with him or something. Like she likes the bad boy, so Shelley's still got her own problems.
That's a great.
She still hasn't learned from her previous mistakes. So
That's
Norma is really sort of keeping an eye on Shelley and just sort of like, oh, I just want her to figure this out. I want her to learn what's good for her.
yeah.
So,
I totally agree. I
but,
think that's a
yeah,
great analysis because, yeah, Shelley apparently, yeah, she's the one that has some growing up to do still. And I kind of got the impression that Becky kind of takes her dad's side on this a little bit.
I
Cause
think so
she had
too.
this look on her face. Maybe it's just me, but it looked like she felt sorry for her dad. When
I think she felt sorry for her dad, and I think it's one thing for you to be in love with a bad boy. I think it's another thing to have to watch your mom be in love with a bad boy. I think that's got to be like, oh God, mom.
yeah,
It's probably a little embarrassing.
right,
And again, it's Red. Red's no damn good either. So
yeah, and we obviously know Red is more than he appears because for one, he's obviously has a connection to Richard, which is can't be
yeah,
any all kinds of bad news, and two has
yeah. There's
that
no good connections to
and
Richard.
and two has that weird supernatural thing going on.
Yeah,
So where's that gonna go?
exactly. So, ugh.
Yeah,
And what's interesting is that when you see him through the window, Red kind of looks like Bobby. He's got the same kind of leather jacket on, and they have the same kind of hair. So,
just older,
and
like an older version.
yeah, yeah. And so it's like she kind of has a type,
Hmm.
you know. And because even with James, Shelley, Shelley seems to have a soft spot for James, as we saw in the first episode.
That's true.
But
Because
she
she talked about him being cool.
he's always been cool,
So that's what she liked
and
about him.
so yeah, and she's I almost get the feeling like you know, she's a Miss Tessmacher kind of character. What can I ever get along with the good guys? You know,
Exactly.
it's like she can't keep the good guys in her life. She's got to. Like I said, I don't know if she gets bored or if it's not as fun or what it is, but
Yeah.
she's still trying to figure it out herself. So
Well, hopefully, like Miss Tessmacher, she'll get her act together a little bit
yes,
and
exactly.
and help her Superman. So, um, but yeah, so that was interesting. And then all hell breaks loose when some bullets come flying through the windows of the Double R.
Just no out of nowhere, just
Out
bullets
of,
come flying.
out of nowhere, and
So every
you're thinking, okay, what is this? Is this like relating to what Steven's up to, or is it Steven, or is it Gersten maybe, or you don't know what's going
Is it
on.
Steven? Is it Richard? I mean,
Yeah,
who knows? So everybody gets down on the ground, and Bobby's like, turn off the lights. Everybody gets down, and Bobby goes outside. And apparently, it's a little kid. His parents' gun was in the van. He found it, picked
right,
it up, and just started shooting out the window. And so his parents were fighting about that. And
right.
Bobby's like, okay, what is going on? So he
And the kid's staring at him like at Bobby, like he's Damien or something.
he's got that little I'm a little Mr. Tough guy look on him. Like, yeah, so what? I fired a gun. And Bobby's like, whatever, kid. He's just not impressed at all.
Yeah.
So then
And then because of their like what's going on behind all this, because there's this woman blaring her car horn over and over again, all impatient.
oh yeah.
And even Bobby says a couple times like, "Hey, just not
He's like he's
turn
giving the cut sign
yeah,
and
yeah, just
stop
turn
it.
it off cuz like, hey, look, we got a thing over here obviously." This lady like it has zero S to give about this.
Right.
And
Exactly. And so Jesse walks up and he said, I was at Big Ed's gas farm. So we know there's at least still a Big Ed's gas farm.
yeah, and apparently yeah,
And
he was in the area.
right.
So,
Right. So he's there and he's like, all right, we take care of these people. I'm gonna get this and Bobby's like, I'm gonna get this woman to stop honking her horn.
right.
So he comes up, he's like, ma'am. She's like, what are you people doing? Some of us are late to dinner.
Yep. Like, yeah, they're late for dinner. She's going on about that this her uncle is joining us. You know, this girl that's in
Haven't
her,
seen him in years.
yeah, for like and then she says she's sick, and
And then,
and then it turns basically Twin Peaks turns into The Walking Dead at this point, as
yeah,
this girl like slowly lifts up from the passenger seat out of the shadows, and she's like basically has this like I'm transitioning into a zombie face going on, and
she's very pale and gray and ashen and starts,
gaunt, and she's got like
yeah,
vomit coming out of her mouth, and it's like this little fluid. It just keeps coming and coming, and she
she's just vomiting. It's
raises up and just is like ah, and then the woman, of course, in the driver's seat is screaming, going ah ah ah, ah. And
yeah.
Bobby is just left going, what the hell is going on, people?
Bobby has no idea what to make of this. He's like, "What?" He's like, "This is okay. This is you guys. I don't know what to do."
Yeah.
So,
Like, it's
but
probably like, Jesse, you want to take this one because damn.
and is this a an unrelated incident, or is this some sort of Garmin Bozia incident? I don't know. I'm
I don't
always
know.
suspicious when I see vomit. So
Yeah, especially because the way that vomit has been used in this show, and you never thought that would be a theme,
I know.
right? So, but it could be as far as we know. But yeah, so you don't know if it's just Lynch wanting something really freaky for Bobby to deal with, or if it actually matters to the overall plot.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll
So
find
we'll see.
out.
But that was just all kinds of surreal. So
Right. So
and Lynch really seems to love like blaring, people blaring on their car horns to make you uncomfortable.
that was very uncomfortable
He loves
because
to make you,
part
like
of
in
you is
Fire,
annoyed by the noise.
Walk with Me, that scene at the intersection.
Oh, yes,
That's
yes.
what it
With
reminded me of.
yeah. Um, but this scene, the horn. I was going back and forth between annoyed by the horn
Hmm.
and then thinking, who is this person? Did they not notice that someone just fired a gun into the diner?
Right.
It's like, come on.
Yeah.
So
And so that's kind of where we leave off with Becky and Shelley's and Bobby's storyline at the moment.
yep.
Until hopefully next week. Um,
Hopefully,
Hopefully. So then we shift over to Buckhorn, South Dakota, where Gordon Cole and Tammy and Albert and Diane, who's looking more and more shady every week.
yeah, she is.
So they're being led to this site by Detective
The
Mackley,
zone
the zone.
where apparently where Bill Hastings entered into the zone.
Yeah,
And he doesn't remember much. They go to like this empty lot slash
yeah.
crappy houses and this
Like
bad area.
it's like an abandoned property or something that's been fenced off, and there's like a little
Yeah,
shack in there.
yeah. There's like a little shanty
But
and some high
primarily it's
grass,
like a
and
dusty like dirt lot.
it almost looks like it's an empty trailer park itself. If it weren't for the fact that that shanty that was built from the ground was there. So
Right.
he says he only remembers hopping a fence and going in about 20 feet, but then he doesn't remember anything after that.
Yeah. So
So
yeah.
and Bobby's there.
So Bill Hastings is there, but in custody in the back seat of Mackley's car,
Yeah, he doesn't go anywhere. He's just in the back seat of the car.
which it turns out to be significant. So yeah. So they decide to go, and of course, where's this place located? 2240 Sycamore.
I heard that.
So, under
I got
the sycamore
I got idea,
tree,
man.
I got an
Yep.
idea, man. Exactly.
So yeah, that's always interesting.
So, yeah.
And so, but when they get there, they're looking around. You can hear sort of like an electrical buzzing going on. So something's
Yep.
not right here.
Electricity.
And so they're sort of walking around and looking at the the sort of boarded up houses around, and we see a woodsman coming in and
Yeah.
out of visibility.
Yeah. And so this is like Gordon looks over at Albert and he says, "Think there's one in there, Albert."
Yeah,
So they're like it sounds like Gordon has an idea of what they're looking for.
it sounds like they know what they expect to find whatever they're going to find there. So Gordon is walking towards the shanty house, and then all of a sudden, like, looks up to the sky
Right.
and sees like a cyclone
Yeah, it's like
whirlpool
it's a
thing.
swirling vortex kind of thing. Like
Yeah, just
almost like
coming out of the sky.
like a black hole kind of opening up in the
Right,
sky. And
right. And nothing's really coming in or out of it. He's just seeing it, and then he's standing there,
yeah, well
and he raises his arms to it.
it's almost like it's there's like something coming toward him in the vortex. Like
Right, but you never
only
get a clear shot of what it is.
yeah. And I thought this was interesting because this scene is there's these images because Gordon kind of starts drifting out of existence a little bit.
Yeah,
And
he starts to go in and out of
and
visibility.
this was the scene that we saw in the very first Twin Peaks teaser. I was thinking originally this was going to be that was Leland with white hair as Bob.
Okay.
When that original Twin Peaks teaser hit, where you weren't sure who that was, but apparently it was
hmm
that scene.
Right, it was that scene. And so he starts to go in and out. And while that's happening, he gets transported to another realm where he's inside of a house where he sees three woodsmen on a stairway.
Right. So
And Albert, once again,
just for a second though.
yeah, just for a second, because Albert, once again, it's Albert that knocks him out of this.
Yeah, I think Albert starts he starts seeing Gordon fade from existence. So he's like, okay, I guess I better step in now.
Yeah, he yanks him out.
Right.
And then Cooper looks at Albert and says, "Well, I guess we found out." So they know more than they're telling us that they know.
Well, Gordon always seems to know more than he's telling.
That's true.
Really,
that's very true. Gordon always seems
but Albert
seems like he's a little bit clueless, but he's not. He never is.
But yeah, it seems like Albert and Gordon, yeah, they're knowing way more than they're telling at this point.
Yes, totally.
And if I was Tammy, I'd be asking all kinds of questions from these two.
I think Tammy is starting to realize that if she just sort of keeps her mouth shut and observes and goes along the same lines as they do with investigation, that eventually they're going to let her in on it all.
Okay, so you think she's adopting like a Zen approach, like I'll just let it happen, and then I'll just go wherever this ride takes me.
I think so, because I think she just sort of watches and learns, and then because whenever Tammy opens her mouth, it means something. It's very meaningful.
Right.
She has something very interesting to tell them, or very
important to the mystery.
Yeah, so she has very important information to the mystery, or she's come up with something. She's done really good work. So she doesn't fill the air with minutia when it comes to when she chooses her words.
Right.
So.
And so yes.
So then.
Then.
Look over.
Oh well, yeah. So yeah, Tammy's off in the distance, kind of like she's essentially backup. She's trying to make sure that nobody's for some reason, like maybe they were concerned that somebody might come out from behind a house somewhere or something.
She's trying to keep the scene clear.
She's keeping a lookout, basically.
Right.
And so, all of a sudden, Diane is leaning against a car smoking.
Mm-hmm.
And then where she sees a woodsman creeping up on Mackley's car.
Well, before that, they look over into the tall grass by the houses.
Right.
And they see another body.
Yes.
And it's a naked woman with no head. So
hello, Ruth Davenport.
Yes, we're thinking this is Ruth Davenport.
Mm-hmm.
So they find, and Albert just comes up and he's like, Ruth Davenport, I presume. So they They get her,
Albert takes some pictures. She's got like some tattoos on her arm.
she's got something written on her arm. Yeah.
Yep.
So we come back to that a little bit later. But yes, Diane is standing there just kind of watching, and she notices the woodsman, but doesn't really say anything about it. She notices him ducking in and out of existence, but doesn't really say much. And
I thought that was interesting. She doesn't try to warn anybody.
She doesn't try to warn anybody, and she doesn't look surprised. Again, she doesn't look like she's shocked by anything she's seen.
Yep.
So Diane definitely has more going on than she's telling us.
Doppelganger. We'll see. But it definitely adds fuel to the theory, I think, a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So
she's sitting there kind of watching this happen, and then all of a sudden one of them shows up near the car, like you said.
Right.
And then we hear this horrible noise.
Yeah, it's like a squelching noise.
Yeah, just something getting squished and crunched, and then all of a sudden you hear Mackley go, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, kind of like somebody in a radio station, maybe.
Yeah, like somebody's like skull gets crushed out. And
funny how that happens.
So he's yelling. He's like, "Oh my God!" He's like, "I need backup! I need backup!" And Diane looks in the back of the car and says, "There's no backup for this."
Yeah.
Because what has happened is Bill Hastings is now missing the top of his head.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
Like, seriously, everything from the nose up, just gone.
Yeah, exactly. It's that whole, like, everything that is like his head has been cut in half sideways, and the top section has just been removed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, something, and then I love this. Gordon just looks in the back of the car, and he just goes, "He's dead."
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Yeah. Really, you don't say.
Yes.
So
thanks for pointing that out for those of us who missed that.
Right.
So that was crazy. But
do we want to continue with the storyline, or do we want to keep?
Yeah, let's go ahead and finish the storyline, because it seems to work better that way if we just go with the storylines as opposed to chronologically.
That's true. We digress less.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. You're right. Us digress? Get out of here. Nah, never.
Do that.
Exactly. So, okay, so I guess they go back to, like, Gordon's hotel or something. No, they go back to the police station. That's right. Mackley's police station.
Take her back up.
And Gordon is having trouble with his left hand.
He's got the shakes. Cat on a hot tin roof.
Cat on a hot tin roof, exactly. So, and we all know, hey, when you're having issues with your left hand, it's a little, seizure-y, perhaps. That's not good. That usually leads something supernatural is seriously going on right now.
Yeah, not in this world. Not in
a good way either.
No, not at all. So he was going to have coffee, but they don't think he should with the shaking.
And then of course Gordon's like, "Coffee, great idea."
Mm-hmm. And then Albert says, "Maybe warm milk for the cat on the hot tin roof." And then and I forget what Gordon says, but Gordon obviously can't hear anything they're saying.
Exactly.
He's missing most of this conversation. So
yeah, it was
Albert starts talking about the coordinates that were on Ruth Davenport's arm.
Yeah, he shows a picture of Ruth's arm. And
Diane is like trying to memorize them. So I'm like, no, don't show this to Diane.
But Albert catches her. And he sees her like mouthing, the coordinates, trying to memorize them. And he's like, "I'm just going to take this back."
And he says, "Well, the last numbers are blurry, but it says it's somewhere in the Pacific," and then he just kind of stops talking.
Yep.
So, and it's like, we know where it is. We know it's in the Pacific Northwest, but he just sort of stops talking about it.
Yeah. So obviously, this is all going to lead back to Twin Peaks, presumably.
Yes, it does. So, but yeah, so they have the coordinates, or at least enough of them that they know where to go.
Right.
And then Diane starts asking if she can smoke in here. And part of me wondered, if she was hoping they would say no so she could go outside and text
Ooh,
Evil Cooper.
I think
But she doesn't.
you're right. Well, she's first no, because Mackley first tells her no, and
And
then
then that's
and then
when I
she
thought
then
she was
she,
gonna I thought she was gonna get up.
and then she's all insistent. Yeah, that's what I thought too. But then she's all insistent about it, and so
She says,
Mackley's like, "Well, smoke 'em if you got 'em."
"You know how good a cigarette will be after this coffee," and he says, "Smoke them if you got them." But
Yeah.
yeah, I thought he was going to say, "No, you can't smoke in here," so she'd say, "I'll be back,"
Mm-hmm.
and that way she could go out privately text. But that hasn't happened yet. So if Diane is a doppelganger, it seems like she definitely has quite a bit of conflict going on in her.
Or maybe she's just
That she's
waiting for
trying to fight.
maybe she's just waiting for more information before reporting in.
Maybe, or maybe that maybe the smoking will. She knows the smoking will calm her down and make her seem less obvious about wanting to know the information.
Yeah.
I'm not sure,
But
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 so
Gordon's
they started talking, and
go ahead. Oh, and then this is where Diane admits that she saw something, but then tries to like retract it.
right. She admits that she saw one of those guys by the car, but she wasn't sure if she really saw that. And Mackley's like, "I was in the car. I mean, I nobody was in that car with us. I don't know what the hell just happened." And he says that they have, they searched everything. There were no witnesses, no suspects, no Major Briggs's head.
Right.
So they still can't even find that. And they're talking, and Gordon says he remembers seeing the bearded men in a room.
Yeah.
He doesn't call them the woodsmen; he calls them the bearded men.
The bearded men. Yes. And so we have basically we to run this down. We have Gordon, Albert, and Diane who are able to see the woodsman,
Right.
but Tammy who says she can't and Mackley can't.
Right.
So obviously
Right.
Diane's more than she appears at the
Yes.
moment. So somehow
Yes.
she's dialed in. So obviously,
Mm-hmm.
so this kind of like again adds to my theory that something supernatural happened when Doppelganger Cooper presumably went to go see her at whatever rendezvous they had
Yeah.
all those years ago.
So she's right. Exactly. So something is going on that Diane knows more than she is letting on for sure.
Yeah.
So
Well, why should she be the only one on this show? Because everybody else is.
that's true. Yeah. Nobody else is putting their cards on the table.
Except for maybe Tammy. Tammy's just like, what? What's going on?
Tammy's, Tammy knows what Tammy's good at what she does, and she knows what she knows, but she doesn't know as much as everybody else does.
Exactly. So,
So,
all right. So I thought
so
that was...
then we're done with Buckhorn for this episode.
Yeah, I think we're done with Buckhorn. So that the next storyline
So let's go back
we
to
haven't.
Twin Peaks for a minute.
Yeah, let's go back to Twin Peaks because at the Twin Peaks Sheriff's Department, we have Deputy Chief Hawk and Sheriff Frank Truman going over the details of Major Briggs's message, and Hawk breaks out the old map.
It's very old, but it's always current.
Right. Which
Is
is
what he
interesting
says,
because does that mean that the map can update itself, presumably?
Or that the map knows beforehand what's going to happen. So
Well, he says it's a living thing.
Yeah, he says it's a living thing. So maybe it changes when you're not looking, and based on the actions of everyone around it, it can change what is going to happen. So
yeah.
So he says that Blue Pine Mountain is where the info from the major is probably going to lead them.
Right.
So they're looking at that, and they see this sort of black fire symbol. It could be good, and it could be bad based on intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that the stars on the map give the same date that the major's message gave.
Right.
And so there's the stars, and then there's the black fire, and then the sheriff points to something that is like a little dark circle with the little wing-looking things coming out of it.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds us of the owl,
Right.
but it's a little bit different. And he asks Hawk about it, and Hawk very sternly says, "Frank, you don't ever want to know about that."
Yeah.
And
So that's not
Hawk
ominous.
knows what it is, but
not ominous
Yeah.
at all. So I got to think that's Mother, right? As we've been
Yeah,
the
something.
experiment or
Yeah,
whatever
that's
you want to call her, but yeah, that thing.
exactly.
So obviously
So
that's
that's
yeah. So apparently that's going to be like this horrible demonic entity that we don't want to face, but apparently, hopefully, we will. Um, Now, what Hawk also explains that that there's a symbol of corn on the map. You know, like
hmm
cream corn,
yes.
and
Some
apparently the this represents fertility, unless it's
okay.
black, in which case it represents death.
So and
Or
that's
so,
again, could that be
or
mother?
something diseased and unnatural.
Something disease and unnatural. So we have the corn as the fertility, which could be mother, but then the death, it could be mother being the harbinger of death or bringing something, or something evil being doppelganger Cooper.
Right?
So it could mean a lot of different things. So while they're looking at the map, they get a call from the log lady
Yep.
who knows they found something. And she says, my log is afraid of fire, and there is fire where you're going. So she's really worried about Hawk. She wants him
What?
to be okay.
Yeah. Well, she said. Yeah, she stresses that last part twice. She goes, "Hawk,
Yes, she does.
there's fire where you are going." So,
Right.
she, obviously a big warning to Hawk that
Yes.
and it's not really looking good for Hawk at this point, is it?
Oh, I just, well, if
Hopefully it'll
anybody
turn
could,
out. But
if anybody could face something and come out of it okay, it'd probably be Hawk. At
I
least I
would,
hope so.
I hope so too, because yeah, I don't want to see him. I don't want to see Hawk be, you know, killed off because he's awesome.
Me neither. Hawk is amazing.
He is amazing.
Oh, and Jesse got a new car.
Yeah. Yeah, in the middle of all this, Jesse is like, it's important to like, hey, come check out my new car, and Truman's like, Jesse, we got something a little more important going on
I'll
right
look
now.
at it later.
I'll look at it later.
And
Yeah.
and I honestly think
So what is
part
up
of
with Jesse? That's what I want to know.
I don't know what's up with Jesse, and
What's his
part of me
deal?
wonders if all of this stuff that the sheriff is dealing with, like his wife and Chad and
Yeah,
people like Jesse and Lucy and Andy, are just there to show you what a patient man he is.
maybe because yeah, I
Because
mean, yeah, he's got all kinds of excuses to flip out, and he doesn't. He
yeah,
keeps
the
it.
Truman brothers are true men, and obviously because he's just even eat your lunch in the lunchroom, Chad. Like even when he's
Yeah,
mad at somebody and you can tell he doesn't like them, he's still pretty calm about it.
yeah, he can be stern,
So
but he's not like angry about it.
no, and Harry was sort of the same way. Harry didn't lose his temper very easily. He lost it with Albert and when he was drunk when Josie died, and that was about it.
Yeah,
Otherwise, he pretty much kept his cool.
you're right.
So,
You're right about that.
so part of me wonders if this is all just to show you that this is what the Trumans are really like.
Yeah. Well, maybe he
I don't
follows
know.
the teachings of Gandhi and King.
And King, yes, exactly. But we all know now that Jesse has a new car.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So,
Whatever, Jesse.
yeah,
So,
exactly. So,
all right,
all right. So that's that storyline for the moment. We go back to Vegas as we
back to Vegas.
back to Vegas for the over at Lucky Seven Insurance. Dougie slash Cooper is having another meeting with his boss, Bushnell
And
Mullins.
what I think is hilarious about this scene is
Yeah,
that the way he gets to his office is that Phil has coffee and he just leaves Dougie there with the smell of the coffee.
exactly.
Phil's coming in with the coffee and Dougie's like shuffling behind it, like following the coffee.
This is like
Which is so
This is like me with my cat Keiko when I wanted her to like come into the kitchen to eat. I'll be like, okay, here's your food, Keiko, and then I'll carry the food bowl toward the kitchen and set it down so she can start eating. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Exactly. So yeah, it's so funny because he's just, Mullins gets a call from Phil. He's like, yeah, Mr. Mullins, I have your coffee. I'm on my way with it. And then you see him walking in, and then you see Dougie like shuffling behind, like you could leave him anywhere with that coffee. It's so funny.
and he's got his arms out toward it like, need coffee, like he's a coffee zombie. Need coffee,
Coffee zombie.
coffee.
Exactly. So hilarious.
It was great.
So then
So yeah, he sits down And then like Bushnell Mullins like says tells him, hey, that claim filed by the Mitchum brothers. Oh, guess what? It wasn't fraud after all. And like they always say how these Mitchums are gangsters or whatnot, but but they're still entitled to their this check. And of course, and
And he says that
go
he
ahead.
thinks that there's organized crime going on within the office.
Right?
So, but he's not he thinks someone higher up is in charge
Yeah,
because
yeah,
he's not sure about the Mullins now because the claim was actually valid.
yeah. And so,
And they wanted to have a meeting with you at 5:30, and usually I wouldn't let one of my agents go with these guys, but they're gonna love you
yeah,
because you're gonna give them a $30 million check.
yeah. And he does, and he also makes this point, which of course is like, hey, $30 million, that would normally just totally wipe out a company, but it just so happens I took out an insurance policy for just such a catastrophe. And,
Right. So he
and
had this double indemnity policy on
yeah,
the
so it's
Mullins brothers,
so at this
not Mullins
point,
brothers,
so
the
at this point,
Mitchell brothers.
you're like, okay, what is up with Bushnell Mullins now? Because here I thought he was
Yeah.
a really sweet guy, and I'm thinking, oh, this is just all part of the big insurance scam to get a bunch of money.
Yeah, this could still just be part of the plan. So
So apparently,
he's supposed
maybe he found out that Dougie was figuring this out, didn't want it found out,
I don't
and
know. Yeah.
maybe because if Bushnell Mullins is working for the Mitchums, and so he deliberately like, hey, I'll send Dougie right over, and you can deal with him.
Maybe, but I didn't get that feeling from him. I just sort of got that feeling that he was
It just seemed rather it's like why would he take out an insurance policy? It's like, oh, just so happens, but like, hey, like this was all part of that plan to get him that $30 million. I don't know, I don't get it.
but here's the thing about that
Yeah,
though.
yeah,
It he yeah, he makes out for that too. And if Dougie had said that that claim was invalid, then Mr. Mullins wouldn't have gotten the money either. So, I have this.
that's
I don't think he set
okay,
him up
okay. So, and of course
because
we still have what's his name, the Tom Sizemore,
Tom Sizemore.
yeah,
Yeah.
whose character we
So we still.
Anthony, yeah, that's what it is.
Yep.
So yeah, he's
So
probably
he's supposed to meet. He's supposed to meet with the Mitchums at 5:30,
right.
and it's only 10:30, and it's 2:30, and the Mitchums are eating breakfast.
Yeah, they're just now getting up for breakfast, and they're having their Raisin Bran Crunch, and
Yep, they're just having cereal. Like these rich guys have these,
yep,
these showgirls come out and give them their breakfast, but it's just cereal.
yeah.
That cracks me
Well,
up.
they got this big elaborate house, and there's a pool in the background, and they're
Uh
just
huh.
sitting here like, was it Bradley grabs the box of Raisin Bran Crunch, dumps it out in the bowl.
And he's so upset. He
Yeah,
can't wait to kill this guy. I can't eat this. I'm too upset because
yeah,
he had a dream about
yes,
killing him.
yeah. Rodney, I had a dream.
Yep.
And yeah, so he's talking about like he's counting the minutes to kill Dougie because apparently it's really important to him to kill Dougie because of this dream.
Right.
And
Right.
so Richard or Rodney is just like, dude, like it's only 2:30. Can you just hang on a few more hours? And he says, I'll try. I don't want to, but
I'll try.
I'll try.
So
So
then
go ahead.
a car shows up at 5:30 to get Dougie. Now here's what I don't understand.
Yes.
Dougie's carrying a box.
Well, first,
Where does this box come from?
well, I'll tell you, I think you missed this because when Bushnell Mullins was walking Dougie out to the curb, or
Hmm.
the to be picked up,
Right.
and Dougie off to the side, you hear that familiar Black Lodge twang of the guitar, and he looks
Hmm.
over off to his
He
right.
sees the one-armed
He
man.
sees Mike the One-Armed Man who's waving him, beckoning him, like, "Hey, come over here." So he goes
Yeah.
inside this store. I don't know what it's called, but
Yeah, it was a closed-up store. It
yeah,
had paper on the wall in the window, so it was closed.
but there was something inside. So he goes inside there, and that's where he presumably got this box. Because then, yeah,
Yeah, but it's like, how does that materialize? I mean, yeah, it just seems. But yeah, he beckons him over there, and he comes back with a box.
yeah,
So I'm thinking it's going to be 7 now. They're going to drive out in the middle
right.
of the desert, and it's going to be
What's in
7.
the box? What's in the
What's in the box?
box? Yeah, Brad Pitt's whining and crying in the corner. What's in the
The
box?
box. So yes, Mike the One-Armed Man shows up and beckons him over,
Hmm.
and then he comes back with this, and so there he is with this box, and he gets in the car. It's the same limo driver that drove him home,
Well, first
because he looks at Doug and he says, "Red door,
Bushdale Mullins says, "Knock 'em dead,"
knock him dead,"
and
and then
then
he says he's taking him to this place.
Dougie slash Cooper's is like dead, and he feels his face. So
Yeah, he goes like,
is he wondering that he's dead?
or if he knows something bad's going to happen. I don't know. And the
Yeah.
driver tells Mullins that he's taking to Santino's. He's like, "Oh, you'll like it there," and he drives off. But of course, they drive off into the middle of the desert because we know that this is what's going to happen to Dougie. Dougie's not going to get.
Right.
This isn't The Godfather. He's not going to get shot in the middle of an Italian restaurant, and he's going to be taken out in the middle of the desert. So
leave the gun, take the cannoli.
yeah, take the cherry pie, leave the gun.
Exactly.
So Bradley and Rodney are already out in the desert waiting for him, and Bradley feels really uneasy, and he tells Rodney
about his dream.
He's talking about his dream. He's like, in the dream, your cut from where Candy hit you was perfectly healed.
Right.
So he rips the Band-Aid off, and his cut's perfectly healed. So then this freaks out Bradley even more.
Yep.
And he says, "I don't know if we should kill this guy because of what happened in my dream."
We live inside a dream.
So he's like, he knows that something else happened in the dream, but he can't remember much of it. So he's like, but he feels really uneasy about killing Dougie and that they might not be able to kill him for some certain reason.
Right.
So when Dougie shows up, Bradley remembers more of the dream. And he says, "That box is in my dream. And if what's in the box is this one specific thing, we can't kill him."
What's in the box? Oh, sorry. What's in the box?
He goes up to look in the box, and what's in the box is what was in the box in Bradley's dream. And it's a cherry pie!
Cherry pie. At long last, we get cherry pie.
Cherry pie. And so he comes back and he tells Rodney, "It's a cherry pie. That's what was in my dream. We can't kill him." And Rodney pulls out a gun and he's like, "I don't care what was in the box. I'm going to kill this guy. Frisk him."
Yep.
So so Bradley goes over and frisks him, and of course finds the check. He's like, "There's a letter in here. It's addressed to us."
Yeah, so he opens it up, and he's like, "Woo woo!" All Jim Belushi style.
And he sees that it's the $30 million check. He goes over and shows it to Rodney, and they both get excited. So he goes back over to Dougie, and he's like, "I love this guy."
I love this guy.
So now he's their best friend.
Yep.
And
so
then they all get back at the car, and they actually do go to Santino's.
Exactly. So yeah, they take him back for drinks, where they celebrate over a champagne and the cherry pie. Because hey, why let that cherry pie go to waste, right?
Why let the cherry pie go to waste? So they're talking, and it sounds like they're going to be his new best friends and benefactors. Like they're going to buy a gym set for Sonny Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Because even my orphanage had a gym set.
Exactly. He doesn't have a gym set. Well, we got to get this kid a gym set. Everybody's got a gym set. Yeah, the total mafia thing going.
Totally, we're gonna get this kid a gym set, and then this sweet, very well dressed old lady comes up and says, "Mr. Jackpots."
Yes, it's the return of the slot machine lady.
The slot machine lady. She comes up and she's like, "Mr. Jackpots, I can't thank you. I don't know how to thank you enough." And the Mitchum brothers are talking about what a great guy she is. "You don't even know, he saved my life." And so now it's like everybody loves Dougie right now.
Right.
And so we see that she's turned herself around and she's with her son, and she's back in touch with him, and so things are working out
Yep.
well for everybody. They got their 30 million. She's doing well.
You don't
So
know
now
what
they're going
kind
to
of a special
celebrate.
person this is, or whatever, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so now they're going to celebrate with the pie that saved your life.
Yep. And Dougie, or it's like Rodney is savoring the bites of pie before this, and he's like, saying he says the pie's damn good,
And then
and
Dougie says, damn
damn
good.
good, damn good. So yeah, we're getting just a little
We're getting
close,
there.
just
We're getting there.
just a little closer.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Or pie.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
And
damn
pie.
good pie.
So, and then he wolfs the pie down.
Yep.
He's wolfing it down. And Candy gets him another slice, after being asked about 3 times.
Now this was interesting to me because Candy, yeah. So Candy's coming over, she's being her spacey self, or is she?
Mm-hmm.
And so Rodney
Right.
snaps her to attention. So Candy comes over to Cooper, and it's almost like these two are like, two peas in a pod here.
2 space cases in the same helmet. Yeah.
Exactly. So like maybe something's going on with Candy's kind of similar to what's going on with Cooper. But
Yeah. Ooh, good question.
right, is it?
So I don't know.
But
So Candy, after being asked a couple of times and then talking about the weather, finally comes over and gives Dougie another piece of pie,
Yep.
which he then starts wolfing down. And then they...
So everybody's having a good old time. Like Candy's there cutting Dougie's pie and ready to serve him another slice, and everything's all good.
Everything's right with the world. And then
there's a piano player off to the side.
Yep. Who then starts playing an Angelo Badalamenti piece.
Right.
And then he's our version of the Roadhouse this week. There's no Roadhouse.
Right.
It's the piano player from Santino's.
But apparently, like, he starts off with a couple of notes that makes Cooper sit up and take notice.
Right.
Like just for
notice.
Yeah, just for a second we get a glimpse of Cooper, I think.
Yeah, just for a second, and then
like the
just enough little things come back to him, he's going to come back to us.
So, are we seeing some movement on the Cooper progress bar? Maybe a little.
We have to be. He had cherry pie. I can't imagine that not doing something a lot.
So maybe we're at least at 70% installed. Hopefully.
Oh, jeez. I hope
75,
so.
maybe 75% installed. Because
maybe it'll be like one of those that it takes 7 hours to get up to 80, and then 80 to 95 takes like 3 minutes.
Maybe because hey, the caption for next week's episode is titled "Let's Rock."
Mm-hmm.
What a great place to have, maybe at the very end of the episode, to have Cooper finally back in business, and that be his line.
Oh, and I'm going to lose my mind if that happens. That'll be fantastic.
So let's see.
So that's where we are.
That's where we're
left.
Where we
are.
But
Cooper.
So there was a lot going on in this one, but overall, I thought the pacing and everything in this one was really good. I enjoyed this one a lot. I don't know about you, but
I really liked this one, and I've been saying from the very beginning that it's going to take a cherry pie to bring Cooper back, and I think it's finally going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think that's great.
And we've been seeing him fuel up on coffee.
Yes, coffee's quick, but it's the pie is going to do it, I think. And I like the idea that Albert and Gordon are that much closer now to going back to the Twin Peaks area.
Yeah, this definitely, now that they have these coordinates from Ruth Davenport's arm,
right?
Hopefully we're going to get another convergence of the storylines as they head back to Twin Peaks.
Exactly. And the one thing I don't know is how Dougie's going to get there, unless Cooper comes back fully and knows what is going on and he knows to go.
That's what I'm hoping too. Like maybe he figures, well, yeah, because if Cooper becomes awakened, he becomes woke. If we get woke Cooper,
the Seeker has awakened.
Nice. There's a meme in there somewhere, definitely. That's
Adam
awesome.
McLaughlin and Alicia Witt in the same thing again. That's gotta be something.
That's
The
great.
Sleeper Awakening.
This, I might have to get to pull that sound bite. That's
Yes,
great.
exactly.
That's
If
awesome.
you don't know what we're talking about,
That's a Dune
talking about
reference.
Dune.
Yeah, exactly. Directed by David Lynch,
With,
starring Kyle MacLachlan. Yeah. So,
directed by David, starring Kyle MacLachlan and Alicia Witt.
yeah,
So
yeah. Oh, and Big Ed, because hey,
yes, again,
Big Ed's in it.
yep.
And Pete Martell. So,
He
uh,
might well be just about. So
yep. So,
yep.
all right. So, what's your rating for this episode?
9 out of 10 bowls of Raisin Bran Crunch.
Nice. I was tempted to do the Raisin Bran Crunch, but I went with 9 out of 10 cherry pies that won't kill you.
That won't kill you. Yes, the cherry pies, because this cherry pie.
It's not a cherry pie that'll kill you. It's a cherry pie
Yeah.
that won't kill you.
Let's toast to the pie that saved your life, Dougie.
Exactly. So,
You know what's funny too?
What?
When I was watching this episode, I was taking notes on Notepad on my phone,
Mm-hmm.
and it autocorrected Dougie to douche. I was like, wait a minute, I didn't write that. What the heck?
Douche must be in your spell check. You know, like
It must be.
That's
Oh,
hilarious.
yeah, that's a word.
That's great. Exactly. So that's fun.
I don't use the word very often, but apparently it thinks that I use it more often than Dougie.
Well,
So,
maybe it's not just you. Maybe it just figures, well, the internet. So like the internet
Yeah,
loves that word.
exactly.
So and
yeah, but if it does, but why does it think I talk about ducks all the time then?
well, because hey, who doesn't? All right.
Who knows?
Who
Sure.
knows? All right. So yeah,
Ducks-
we both enjoyed this one. That was great.
Yeah.
So we got some feedback once again from Ivan Ivanov that I want to read.
Yes, it's Yvonne. Yes,
So-
when Yvonne said last time when we were talking about that Cooper needs to see a batch,
Yes.
Yvonne's used badge, like an FBI
Right.
badge,
Right.
like a law enforcement badge,
Right.
and I think that'll help too.
Yeah. Maybe Ivan's autocorrect kind of screwed him on that one, but
Possibly. And Yvonne did apologize for his
Yeah.
English, but he has
Yeah.
no idea how bad we are at every other language in the world. So
exactly.
please don't apologize.
Yeah. Don't apologize because hey. Half the people here in America don't speak English because they've never learned it properly. So don't
Very, very true.
don't worry about it. Like, have you seen the spelling on Twitter? Enough said there.
Enough said. Exactly.
To quote Stan the Man, enough said. Okay, so Yvonne writes in, "Dear Weird Drawings with Horns on Paper." I guess that
That's
means
us.
us. That's us. Yay, we're mother. How are you good? How are you doing? I'd like to share with you my Twin Peaks experience as a kid. Watching the last episode back in 1996, I think it was on Channel 1, the Bulgarian National Television, BNT. So we're in the lodge. Me and my 3-year-old brother are hiding under the blanket, asking Mom with a big dose of curiosity and even more of fear, "Is evil Laura gone yet?" No, she's right here.
She's right there. She's a toy now.
She is. She's much
I
smaller.
will say, though-
much smaller.
I'm glad that toy doesn't make any noise because when she screams,
Yeah.
that is terrifying.
Yeah, I can't even do that scream. That's just blood-curdling scream,
Oh.
as we've talked about.
Oh, it's horrifying.
But, yeah. Cheryl Lee's pipes, I mean, incredible.
It's incredible.
So, Bob was the scariest nightmare in the world to me back then. And
What do you mean back then?
yeah, I was gonna say, like, isn't he still? Because I mean, Zan's still freaked out by him all these years later. So
Van doesn't like to look at him at all.
I'm not that
Yeah,
I'm
true.
not that wild about him either. Truth be told.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I mean, the character's cool, but just that he
Yeah.
freaks you out.
Scary as hell, man.
Exactly. So a great TV villain. I remember how my dad used to repeat to us that line from Bob, "Coop, what happened to Josie?"
What happened to Josie Coop?
Yeah, exactly. So it was so scary. Yeah,
Yes.
it was
Yes,
pretty.
it
It was
was.
pretty well delivered by Frank Silva. I thought. I like that one, and especially
Oh, yeah.
especially with that bright spotlight on him. That was great.
Oh,
Yeah. Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me was always the scariest movie for me, and a lot of people, I'm sure. Um,
yeah, it's a scary movie.
yeah, which was, again, it was the first movie I took my wife Lori to, so go figure.
That's and you're
But
still
and
married.
we're still married 20 years later, so hey,
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's-
You gotta, yeah, that's pretty good.
it's love, true love. Um,
That dweeb within a dweeb.
Sorry, just throwing that out there. During my teenage years, sometimes I used to catch it on TV, and just seeing Bob smiling near Laura's bed, it always made me switch the channel, and I'm realizing, hey, it still scares me as bad as always. So,
I do too. I don't switch the channel anymore. I just know it's coming, so I close my eyes.
mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah,
Yeah,
Bob
because
is very
it's
frightening.
burned into your brain, so you almost don't need to watch it at this point. Now I'm 28 years old, and I kind of get over that. I now have an open mind, and curiosity now is bigger than the fear, which is good.
That's good.
That is good. But it's still a hellish show, isn't it? Today I played. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just happy to know that young people know Twin Peaks.
Yeah, that
That
was.
it is standing the test of time, not just with us revisiting it, but with young people
Yeah.
having it as well.
Yeah, that was
And
one of the things
still
I was going to
liking
get.
it. So that's good to know.
That's one of the things I was going to get into here with Yvonne, because yeah, it's nice that, for us who watch the original series, it's great to be able to discuss Twin Peaks with a new generation.
Very much so.
It's like we're passing on the torch a bit, but it's also that we're sharing that legacy. And
Well, and it's nice to know that Twin Peaks is something like a Star Trek or a Star Wars that people will
right.
go back and find and take as their own.
Yeah, and I think with the return, now that once it's all said and done, I think people are going to go back to it, and I think they're going to just dissect it like we are, and
Right.
over the the next couple decades. So it's kind of nice that it's still going to be resident in the in the zeitgeist, if you will.
Yes.
So
I hate using that word, but it's a
yeah, I know,
word.
but I didn't know what else to. You know where I was going with it.
Better
But,
than that word. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
jerks have made that word seem like a jerk word, but
Yeah.
it's perfectly descriptive. So
yeah.
I
I was
I have to say that
struggling
I-
for the proper terminology on that one, but
It's perfect. It's a perfect word. It's unfortunately it has a bad rap, but it's a perfect word.
so
I have to say, Yvonne, that I did a lot of the same things you did, but I did not have the benefit of being a little kid.
exactly. Well,
Fully grown and scared of Bob.
so this is my favorite part of Yvonne's latest comments here. Today I played you for my 2-month-old daughter.
Hi.
So one, congratulations on the new daughter. That's awesome.
Yeah, congratulations.
So Mazel Tov. And two, how awesome is it that we're already corrupting the young?
That is even better. That's fantastic.
So
And we must have soothing tones in our voice. It's like that.
exactly.
Doesn't matter what you say to them. It's the tone of voice you use.
A little seduction of the innocent, if you will.
That'd be great.
Yes. So take that, Frederick.
She's gonna
Dr.
grow up
Wortham.
and she's gonna be like, "Why do I love cream corn so much, Daddy?"
Yeah, exactly. No, we need to keep you away from that cream corn there. Yeah, that's bad.
What do you eat cream corn, sweetie?
Yeah, no
You can
cream
have-
corn.
You
No.
can have
Why don't you
you
just
have
eat
potato pancakes, but you can't have the cream corn.
eat this nice cherry pie instead? Don't eat the cream
Eat this
corn.
pie.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah. So or have this nice coffee. There you go. But that's awesome.
Not that coffee. It's got fish in it, though.
So we're Ghostwood is being fed to a 2-month-old. So that's just
That's
awesome.
fantastic.
I love that. We're learning English with podcasts. Yeah, that's cool.
That's a great.
And it was nice. And she fell asleep. So we lulled her to sleep with our dulcet tones.
I think that's fantastic. I find myself getting
Yep.
really relaxed with podcasts as well and falling asleep.
Yep.
Problem is, I listen to things like Sword and Scale and Red Rum Blonde and small town murder.
Yeah.
So my dreams are a little weird sometimes.
Well, just
Sometimes I would kill to dream about a cherry pie in a box.
there you go. Well, maybe you just need to listen to Ghostwood while you're falling asleep.
I listen to
That.
Ghost of Will and Drive.
There you go. There you go. So I'm sorry for some of the bad spelling on some of the words. Don't worry about. Don't worry about it. Have you seen the internet? You're fantastic compared to the internet. So I see it's hard for Charles to get my ideas sometimes. Don't worry about me either, because I'm an idiot. So don't worry about me. But hey, I'm so glad. Yeah, exactly. Hey, I can own it. I'm an idiot. Go figure. I'm cool with it. But hey, I am so glad that I found you. We're glad that you found us too, and can talk about Twin Peaks. I give you 10 out of 10 Twin Peaks podcasts. So there you go.
That is a great rating. Thank you, Yvonne.
I like that rating. I'm excited by it. So thumbs up. We give the Dale Cooper thumbs up for that one. And
good job, Andy.
Good job, Yvonne. And so talk to you soon. So thanks, Yvonne, for writing in once again. And thank you for still listening to our little podcast and now indoctrinating your spawn to our craziness. So cheers for
the
that.
The world of David Lynch.
The world of David Lynch. So
yes, and thank you for sharing your Twin Peaks story, because I think this is a TV show that sort of changed everybody after they saw it, and everybody has their own story of Twin Peaks. So
we shared ours. So yeah, it's great to hear people sharing theirs. So if you've got a Twin Peaks story like Yvonne, why don't you go ahead and share that with us, because that would be great.
Shoot it on over to us on the Facebook page.
Yep.
That'd be great.
Yep.
Speaking of feedback, and speaking of Yvonne being 28 years old.
Yes.
I think sometimes I forget how old I am when I'm making references.
Yes.
Because I was looking through our YouTube feedback and some of our negative feedback that we're getting from someone in particular that I don't want to name.
Started with the double T. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, the guy who's trolling us, like I talked about, I ranted about last week.
He's the T under our fingernails, is that what he is? He was giving me a hard time for talking about the Dark Crystal, and he said, "What is the Dark Crystal? Is it a Twin Peaks thing?"
I saw that. I saw that. I just wanted to what are you doing?
And part of me wants to say, you are obviously on a computer. Google it. But then another part of me thinks, okay, I am 41 years old, so some of my references might be a little bit old for some people. For example,
it's not that
Yvonne. It's not that crazy,
because they're coming out with a sequel. So yeah,
I know. Yvonne was born the year before Jim Henson died.
Right.
Okay, so if we have some younger listeners, I just want to say, The Dark Crystal was a 1982 movie by Jim Henson. Google it.
The late great Jim Henson. So yeah.
The late great Jim Henson. And so you should Google that. But that's the thing. We do tend to make some references that show, or at least I do, I think, that show my age a little bit. But I guess I assume
we do it all the time. We do it all the time on Next Stop Everywhere in the Phantom Zone. So don't sweat it.
Right, that's the thing. Which, by the way, I woke up to this morning.
Oh, you did? Zone. Phantom Zone?
I did.
What do you think of our crazy? You thought we digress a lot here. Wait till listen to Phantom Zone. We digress all the.
I heard you guys talking about what's her name being pregnant, and I was like, "What, Charles? When did you get in the house?" And I realized that.
Yeah, we were talking about Winona Earp. Yeah. That's hilarious.
So I never assume that I know anything that no one else knows.
Yeah.
So, and I sort of think of Jim Henson and any Jim Henson creatures, not just specifically the Muppets. I think of them as timeless.
Yeah.
So if I'm throwing around Henson terms like everybody should know what they are, everybody should know what they are. But at the same time, I will try and be more conscious of my references. And like before, Dune was a 1984 film.
Yep.
Google it.
Know your history, people. History is important. So yeah.
It's to quote the late great Martin Landau.
Mm-hmm.
You should know your history before you open your mouth, Kennedy.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that? I couldn't find that anywhere on YouTube, but there was this great moment with Martin Landau. He was on the red carpet for the Mission Impossible premiere. And
Yeah. I
the
remember
first movie came out, the one with Tom Cruise, and he is being interviewed by Kennedy, and he's back in everybody's consciousness because he had just won the Oscar for playing Bela Lugosi in Ed Wood.
Which was
awesome. It was a 1994 movie directed by Tim Burton. Google it. And so everyone knew who he was, and this was maybe 1995, 96 when this movie came out. And so Kennedy's interviewing him, and she says, basically, why are you here? You know, what brings you to this premiere? Not understanding, you know, he's obviously not in the movie. She doesn't get why he's there.
Exactly.
And he gets really ticked off at her because...
Rightly so, in my opinion.
Right. And again, young people might not know this, and this is, I believe it might still be on Netflix, but before it was a movie, Mission Impossible was a television show.
Yeah, exactly. And
starring Martin Landau.
Leonard Nimoy was on that, and Peter Graves, who was in the Airplane, was on that, and Barbara Bain, who was on Space 1999 with Martin Landau, was on
was
that.
Her husband at the time.
And Phil Morris... Or I'm sorry, Greg Morris, the father of Phil Morris, who does a lot of animated voices.
And Stephen Hill.
Right.
If anybody's watched Law and Order in the last million years, Stephen Hill from Law and Order was on it.
Yeah, because he was the guy in charge before. He's the guy from season 1 of Mission Impossible. Before Peter Graves took over as Jim Phelps. So I'm a Mission Impossible geek. I love that show. So.
He was the DA on Law and Order before, who was it? Fred Thompson took over, I think.
I think so, yes.
It was him, then Fred Thompson, and then I think Diane Wiest. But, Mission Impossible, the TV show, is full of fantastic people. And so he gets really ticked off at Kennedy for not knowing. And he basically says, I was in the original series. You should know your history before you talk.
Exactly.
And honestly... it behooves you to know some history of pop culture because Mission Impossible is a fantastic television show.
Right.
And like I said, I think it's on Netflix. It was for a while. I think it's on Netflix, but
I think it is. I think it is too. I mean, I have them all on DVD because I'm like I said, I'm a big Mission Impossible junkie. But I think it is. I think they are on Netflix. So check them out.
But if there had never been a Star Trek, Leonard Nimoy would still have been famous because of Mission Impossible.
Yeah, because I got hooked on Mission Impossible when I was in college, and they were showing reruns. Now, Mission Impossible aired decades before, like 2 decades before I was in college, and over 2 decades. So I never got to see it live. So, but I caught it on reruns. I learned my history, and it was good, and it was worth it.
My favorite television show of all time is The Twilight Zone.
Right.
Which premiered like
the late 50s, wasn't it?
Seriously, like 17 years before I was born or something like that, 1969.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yep, learn your history.
Yes, it behooves you to go back and check some things out.
It's like with Doctor Who, okay? The show came back in 2005. But hey, there's this show that ran for 26 seasons from 1963 to 1989, and it's still relevant to the current series because it's all the same show.
Exactly.
So
and
just
in that one episode where we get a cameo from Tom Baker, maybe you'll start crying like I did because it was so exciting.
Exactly. So yeah, just it's just it just because it's old doesn't mean it's bad. So
exactly, everybody might love the 21 Pilots right now, but there's still a little band called Led Zeppelin that everybody should probably listen to every once in a while.
Yeah, just keep in mind that like in 20 years from now, you're going to be yelling at the next generation for like, hey, why don't you like 21 Pilots?
Yeah, exactly.
So
because some things should stand the test of time, and some things do, and some things don't. I mean, there's Mission Impossible, but then there's also Car 54. People aren't necessarily talking about anymore, but
Yeah, well, Twin Peaks, hey, that was 25 years, 25 plus. And here
Yep,
we
and
are
here we
back
are.
with a new series, and which is awesome, which is why, of course, you're here. So
Yep,
again, and in that show, the original series obviously has relevance to the current series.
yep,
So know your history, people.
exactly. And thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to us. It means a lot to us
Yeah,
that you listen.
it does.
So
It does. Real quick,
I
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't mean to rant about it, but I am sorry if I am throwing out old references, but trust me, they're references you want to watch. I'm not
Exactly.
gonna
Exactly. Yeah.
reference anything stupid.
Yeah. Well, now since we talked about YouTube, I do want to give a quick apology, Charles apology, to Vesuvi Timo, who apparently I screwed up
Who's
really.
female?
Yeah, who's female? So I feel completely embarrassed. Again, I'm an idiot, but I can own that. So apologies for me being an idiot, Vesuvi. But and thanks for setting me straight because hey, I was so embarrassed. I think I just looked at the name and I didn't even think of looking at the profile. So now I feel
I didn't think you looked at the profile. Yeah, exactly.
I feel completely
So
horrible about that. So you definitely made me feel bad, as I rightly so should. And my apologies. So
this is why we need genderless pronouns.
yeah.
Don't get me started. I'm already too mad right now.
That's okay.
So
You mean like or words like actor, so that covers everybody. So
yeah,
so you don't have to worry about it.
that kind of thing.
That's
Yeah, we
okay.
need genderless pronouns. If we had genderless pronouns, we wouldn't be in this stupid mess.
Yeah.
No, we'd still be in this mess, but it'd be a little bit
Yeah,
easier to deal with.
well, see, that's the thing with humanity. We'd find something else to divide us because that's who we are.
Oh, completely,
Yeah. So,
completely.
but we would
But
have
before I
one,
delve into
but we would have
political
one,
rant,
but we would have one less thing to divide us. How's that?
that's true. One less thing.
One less thing.
So before I go into political rant, Charles, where can they find you on the internet?
Yeah, I kind of feel it bubbling under the surface there. So we'll get
Mm-hmm.
into yeah. Me, of course, I'm at Charles Skaggs on the Twitter machine and at Charles Skaggs on the Instagram, where I shared photos of my new Funko figures of Black Lodge, Cooper, and Laura. So
Yeah.
check those out. But let's see, Google Plus for all you crazy kids in the Google Plus, Facebook at Charles Skaggs, and this little blog of mine.
What's it called?
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Damn Good Coffee and Hot. Maybe you've heard of it because I only talk about it every episode. That where I cover all the stuff we cover here on Ghostwood and all kinds of Twin Peaks stuff. And just recently posted a bunch of news from San Diego Comic-Con. So please check that out. And thanks to everybody who's been
How
supporting my
excited are
blog.
we?
As I
How
near...
excited are we about the Stranger Things second season?
Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait.
Cannot wait for that.
I've told Lori, can we... Yeah, you want to go through Stranger Things again when we get back from our vacation? Because I wants to watch.
Yeah, seriously.
Because that's going to be coming up
yeah.
on Halloween. So, yeah, I'm going to go one more time through. Because we want justice for Barb. So,
Hashtag justice for
justice for Barb. So, Zan, where can they reach you?
I am on the Facebook,
Yes.
Zan Sprouse, and I am on the Instagram and the Twitter as Udinax19.
Very nice.
I'm pretty active on the Twitter. I haven't been taking a lot of photos, so I'm not that active on the Instagram.
That's okay. You don't have to
And
be.
I'm pretty active on the Facebook, so I'm around.
You're right. Yeah, you're
Some
awesome.
fun.
You are awesome on the Facebook, I should say.
Thank you.
I love your posts. Although I do feel like when you're all stressed out, I feel bad for you.
Oh well.
You get
Sometimes I just need to let everybody know
and that's okay.
that I still love them, even though I can't come out of my own shell.
That's
So,
okay. And I feel like I'm taking I'm taking you away from them because you're so kind to share
No,
your time with me. So
that's okay. You're my friend. I'm spending time with you. That's good.
that's true.
And did everybody see my Mr. Strawberry post?
I
on
did.
the-
I did. Which was
Ghostwood?
awesome.
That was. I had no idea who that was.
That was a great post, by the way.
For those, if I haven't mentioned it before on this podcast, I collect Pez dispensers.
Yes, she does. And it is a legendary Pez collection, I might add. I have seen it.
Maybe I'll post a photo of the Pez room. Actually, I can't right now. It has too much stuff in it. But so anyway, there's a Pez convention in Cleveland, Independence technically, every year in July. It was last week.
Okay.
And I did not go.
Oh.
I did not go this year because I usually drop a hefty chunk of change at the show.
Yeah.
And but in November this year, I am going to Australia.
Nice.
So I have decided to save my money and my vacation days for Australia.
Yep.
And to make up for the fact that I didn't get to go to the Pez convention this year, my husband has been buying me a Pez dispenser once a month.
Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't that nice?
That is sweet.
So he's tried to get me vintage ones, but sometimes nothing good comes up or it's something I already have. But this time, he got me this new Pez dispenser, and it was Mr. Strawberry.
Awesome. Fantastic.
I had no idea who that even was because, he's a German grocery thing. And
Right.
they do that. Pez does that sometimes. They'll do, like recently here in the United States, they made a Pez for the Energizer Bunny.
Right.
So every once in a while they'll do a corporate tie-in. But, Mr. Strawberry just came in the mail. So I don't know if that means that I'm going to get killed at work or at home or on the way. But
is this a message from Doppelganger Cooper?
Seriously, yeah. I found Mr. Strawberry. So at work or on the way.
Exactly. We need Twin Peaks Pez dispensers.
Oh my gosh, how much would I love that?
That would be
That'd be so fantastic.
That'd be like me with if they had Doctor Who Pez dispensers too. That would be fantastic. But
I honestly don't know why they don't, because if they could do a great, I have an idea for the Tom Baker one. They could make the stem different colors, like a scarf.
Yep.
And then on everybody else, they could be like on Peter Davison, it could be like celery colored.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's just a licensing issue or not, but I think they're totally missing out on opportunities there. They could do Stranger Things Pez's. They could do
for a long time, Pez sort of stayed away from actual people.
Yeah. Because
it was kind of hard to get likenesses, but now with it's like 3D printing,
right? It's
a little easier, so they're doing doing more of that. So hey, we'll see.
Yeah, my brother-in-law is big into 3D printing, so yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so cool. Some of the older Pez, they had Pez characters, but they were always the same head.
Yep.
So now that they can do a little more with that, who knows?
All right.
If you're listening out there, Pez Company.
Yeah, fingers crossed. So
you're on the phone with Duffer Brothers.
Exactly. So if you want to be like Yvonne and or even Vesuvi, if you want to check us out, Vesuvi writes to us on YouTube. But if you want to email us or get in touch with us, you can reach us on the Twitter machine at GhostwoodCast. Or you can email us at ghostwoodpodcast@gmail.com, which is equally awesome way to reach us. Or you can reach us on our Facebook page, Ghostwood the Twin Peaks Podcast, which we picked up a couple likes this week. So now I think we're at 43 as we trying to get to 50. So help us out, help us get to 50. But thanks to everybody who's been liking us on Facebook and sharing our posts and sharing your thoughts about Twin Peaks, because that is great, and that's what we want to do with this community. So
we love to talk Twin Peaks.
Yeah,
so,
obviously we won't shut up about Twin Peaks. Look how we're going here. So
I know, look at us.
Yeah, so
if you want us to talk about your Twin Peaks stories or your theories, just let us know. Yeah, and again, we're also on YouTube. Leave us a comment over there, and we'll try and take a look at everything and try and get to everybody's mentions.
Exactly. So next week.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
For listening.
So thank you again. I totally agree. So next week, the return, part 12. Let's rock, which I can't do again. I'm going to do this because I know you love it.
Yes. Actually, and I know he wasn't in the episode, but do the other soundbite, please.
Oh, yeah. I think I know the one you're talking about.
Yvonne likes it too.
I think I'm high!
Yvonne likes that one too, so that was not just for me.
Yeah,
I do know the audience out there loves it.
Presumably Jerry Horn still out in the woods going, I think I'm high!
I think I'm high!
This is not your
Is
foot.
that? All right.
You do that so much more adorably than I do. So, all right. So next week, part 12.
Let's rock.
All right, and we'll be back.
Where my,
Right? So come on back for Ghostwood Twin Peaks podcast. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Doppelganger.